What's happening?
How are you?
I am doing well. Let me back up because my head is extremely big. You know what? I might even put my headset in. Look how beautiful he is. How you doing?
Hey, hi, David. It's Damon.
So the last time I saw you, you had just found out you were pregnant, or you were like 3 or 4 months pregnant?
I just found out I was probably in the 3-month window, and you were one of the first people that I thought of because I was thinking about the power shift and all this, and I was like, this is definitely a power shift for me.
Right.
So, and he's trying to talk to you. But
that is a beautiful, beautiful baby.
Yeah, he's a blessing. He definitely is my power shift. So I'm gonna let him hang out with his grandma. But,
all right.
I wanted you to be able to meet him.
Well, it is great to see you. And so Veterans Day is tomorrow. And as I had already said in the opening, thank you for your service and your family service for, 3 other prior generations to you. And, I wouldn't be in front of this great American flag if it wasn't for you and all the men and women and their families who serve this country. So thank you.
Thank you.
So
Happy
I want to get
for birthday to all of our Marines out there.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Happy birthday to the Marines. So I want to get right into it and see how everybody here can learn from your experiences. And I wrote down a couple of questions, but given the generations of the military prior to you and your family, and what you learned in the Air Force, what did you take from there that you're applying today as as a business owner and a CEO?
Well, there's few things that I think that veterans learn that's inherent to their service. The first one is about your core values. So it's integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do. That's our core values. When you're doing business with people, those core values, I think, over everything else, I can hold on to those when I'm building relationships, because you really want to have great relationships with everyone you do business with. So you want to always be honest and be selfless, because this is bigger than you. If you're an entrepreneur, you definitely walk around that feeling of this is bigger than me. It's that invisible thread that pulls you forward every day. And then being excellent at everything that you touch or volunteer for or put your name on. You want to make sure that you do the best job. So.
Yeah, but and I appreciate that thought, and I get it. So when you're in the service, though, you have, you're instructed to accomplish certain tasks and or whatever the case may be, and you should go back to that, because obviously, everybody in there is on the same page, and if 1 or 2 people are not on the same page, it can cost lives. It can cost a lot of different things, right? But when you go out to the regular world, the civilian world, and we've seen it even at the top of our office, our most sacred office, we've seen people that don't necessarily, and I'm not trying to be a politician, and forget even the top of office, just in companies you work with, or other vendors, or whatever the case is, we have seen people that don't have those core values. What do you do? Because you got to work with people. Entrepreneurship is a team sport, right? Yeah. And you're working in the office right next to a bunch of people or 1 or 2 people who are just wrong. What do you do? How do you deal with that?
Well, there's a misnomer that just when you have the military badge on you, or a veteran, that's supposed to equate to you always uphold the rules at all times. And we've seen there's good and bad. There's good and bad military, there's good and bad police, there's good and bad leadership in our country. But I've taken on the mantle of being the bridge. So if you have it within you to be a great example, be the bridge in that office, because somebody needs a reference point. So if there's a bad person in your leadership, if I'm holding myself to a higher standard, they can see the comparison. They can instantly see, okay, that's not how we do business, because obviously Shalinda doesn't do business like that, or she doesn't conduct herself like that. You want to be a reference point of the right way to operate.
Have you ever, I've in the Bob Evans Farms Heroes to CEOs, contest, when I got the chance to mentor some of the veterans, I've heard veterans say, some of them say, I don't even tell people I'm a veteran when I go to work or to fill out, to do things, because for some reason or another, they will think that I have some mental issues or whatever the case is. Have you ever experienced that you cannot, you don't think it's in your best interest to share with somebody that you have fought for this country?
Well, I will tell people all the time, Damon, it may surprise you, I'm a 70% disabled veteran. And they will look at me and just, I've walked out of my car in a parking lot and someone will tell me you parked in the wrong spot. And it says veteran parking. So this misnomer that a veteran's supposed to look a certain way, or that veterans mean, a disabled veteran means that you can't function. A lot of us are high functioning. We're high functioning, but we've been taught to compartmentalize. And that's one thing that I see as a commonality of veterans. We compartmentalize. If you have experienced trauma, you have lack of sleep, all these things that normally people would complain about and say, I can't do X, Y, and Z because of this. We push past that and just do the job. So it's really hard because they will try to label you sometimes as, because you're disabled, that you cannot function.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, I know somebody who was a disabled veteran. And they were in combat, but they were only disabled because they broke their trigger finger in fighting somebody. So they technically were not able to do this.
Yeah.
That's it. You know what I mean? And everybody thinks the person's crazy. Now, but let's get into now the better part about being a veteran, because I don't want this to be about the negative part. I think there's 900 things that are better about it. Let's talk about, how do you find ways to tap into the veteran community, get them behind you, if at all? Because listen, you guys and girls, when I say guys, I mean everybody, you guys got a massive, massive community who are highly skilled people who knows what you've been through and knows where you're trying to go, from being selfless, to serving our country, to finally saying, let me do something for myself at the same time. How do you tap into that community and get all of that value out of that community?
Well, it's definitely a tribe. I want to pay you a compliment because you have done so much for the veteran community. That's one thing that is very well known in our community, is the fact that whether it was the lace up with your boots or military influencer, which is happening right now, there's Bob Evans. So you've really gone out of your way to show your support, and I just want to say thank you on behalf of all of us.
It is truly my honor. And if I ever say in the past that there's anything that I ever can say that I regret, is not when I was younger, I didn't serve the country because I felt that I needed to stay home and take care of mom. But thank you.
Thank you. There's a lot of different groups right now that I would support, or I would tell people to go out there and learn a little bit more about them. One is Bunker Labs. So Bunker Labs has partnered with many organizations to educate people on veteran entrepreneurship, provide resources for them. There's Military Fresh Network, and I think that you actually had a little bit of a dialogue with Jimmy Fresh one time on your IG Live. Military Fresh Network, they promote different military members all across all branches. Military Influencer with Cortez Riggs. I know they went up there and interviewed you in New York. So Military Influencer Conference really changed the game for me, because these are veterans who decided to continue to serve through entrepreneurship. And we're leveraging our resources with each other to tell our story. So we want to be able to provide platforms, whether it's through media, podcasts, to help these veterans tell their story of not only service, but entrepreneurship.
Yeah, and if anybody watching right now knows of some great veteran organizations that you feel can help in any fashion form, please put their names in here in the feed. So I want to get to your business, and I want to get to just talking a little bit about that, and then we're going to get into some of the things that you're seeing today for all our local, for all our entrepreneurs. So you go on to Shark Tank. I'm not on Shark Tank, and they turn you down. And again, I still haven't seen that episode. I tend not to look at episodes I'm not on because I get this anxiety, or I get this one in a call, one of the sharks, and say, oh, yo, let me get in on that deal, or can I help you with it? And then I end up realizing why I don't like working with other sharks, and I end up saying to myself, what the hell did I just do? So I didn't look at the episode. From what somebody told me, is they turned you down because they felt that you couldn't work full time on it, because you were still currently in the Air Force, right, at the time?
Yes, sir. I was still active duty.
Was it Was it Kevin who started to talk all that crap? Or who was the one who started that ball rolling?
Mr. Wonderful. Let me tell you. So it was very interesting because when you pitch at Shark Tank, they tell you to keep a shark in mind of who you're going to pitch to.
Oh, they do? I never knew that.
Well, that's what I was taught anyway.
Well, no, we don't know what you guys are told because we don't know anything about you, as you already know. We don't know anything about you guys, and so they tell you to go, because I always get pissed off because sometimes when I'm giving an offer and whatever, and they keep talking to Lori, and I didn't know that they tell you that. I all the time go, well, why don't you just come out here instead of saying hello, Sharks, say hello, Lori. I want to kiss your ass for a half an hour. So like I never knew that, but go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's just to kind of keep your focus on what is your message. Because if I thought of all of the sharks, I'm thinking like I have to pitch in different ways because you all have different interests. You have some that like more tech companies, right. Others that are like QVC. So I said to myself, look at my life. I want to connect more on like a life level, someone who would understand everything that I've been through just to get here on the stage. So I had a single mother who had sacrificed for me. I was selling sauce out of the back of my trunk to anybody who would buy it. And when I started reading your books and Rise and Grind, you were talking about, in The Power of Broke, you were talking about selling sauce, selling t-shirts out of the back of your truck, like I was selling sauce. And the attitude of nothing is going to stop me because this is bigger than me, and you understood your why. And even though it was premature at the time, I had not quite captured my why. And I think that is what happened at Shark Tank. I didn't know my why. I was not ready to defend it either. I knew all my numbers. I knew, all the technical things you're supposed to know, but harnessing my why, which is legacy, my passion, I didn't articulate that.
Okay.
And
so you weren't able. I think that's like a little nugget right there. You weren't able to defend yourself, you're saying, or defend your passion.
Right. I caved. I really did. Because once they learned that I was active duty, I felt really conflicted. I said, well, if I'm going to play devil's advocate, what would I ding myself on? So that's how I prepared for Shark Tank. I pretended to be a shark and just shot down every single thing that I possibly.
Well, who was the shark that you had in mind? Because do they tell you who's going to be on the panel prior?
They don't tell you. I didn't know until I walked out. How the doors open?
Yeah.
I didn't know that you weren't going to be there till I was standing on the X.
Is that who you came for, or was it maybe Barbara? I know Barbara does really good with food products. I'm not sure.
I was also thinking about Mark Cuban, just because some of his values. He really goes after like the underdog. If he can tell that you are going all in, he seems to really gravitate towards those companies. So I actually have Mark Cuban in mind. As well. Good. And he gave me some really good advice. He basically said, the way that you take this in will determine the outcome for you ultimately. So I internalized that as I'm going to keep going because maybe this will all turn around if I just don't give up.
Yeah, but that's hard. I mean, you go on Shark Tank and a lot of people say, there's 40,000 applicants on Shark Tank every single year. By the time the producers see about 2,000 people, then they narrow it down to an average of 200 people. The sharks see about 120 to 150 people, and then only about 90 people hit the air. That's almost like winning the lotto in some sense, right? Now, all of a sudden, you get struck down, and publicly also, there could be, a lot of people go on there for exposure, and a lot of people go on there to end up getting exposed. A lot of people leave the tank, and people go, they look up your name on a smartphone or something else after you pitch them, and they go, wait a minute, the Sharks shredded them. I don't want to be part of that. Well, I may not know as much as the Sharks. Or, but a lot of people also say the Sharks are idiots. They gave up a golden opportunity. But why would you decide after that to start moving forward when you just, in a lot of people's eyes, you would say, a lot of people internalize that as, I just nationally got turned down by this panel that people deem to have knowledge. Why am I going to go forward?
Well, when I walked out of the tank, I had a moment, and there's times in our lives that we're going to have moments like these, the rock bottom moments. But I just believe in something bigger than myself. And as I tell everyone, if you believe in something bigger than yourself, rock bottom has a trampoline. So you just bounce back. You're not going to fall and smack your face on the ground. It's impossible, because you were born with a purpose. You just have to go through this journey of life, discovering what it is and appreciate the journey. So that was not the end for me. I just didn't believe that it could be. And I just went back to active duty, really trying to understand whether or not active duty is my purpose, ultimately my purpose, because I come from a 4th-generation military family. Like, you serve till they're dragging you out in your boots. So I had to think about what Mutt Sauce was. What could it do? What was its purpose? How do I continue to serve people with this company? And it became more, the longer I stayed in it, the more apparent it became. And if you are selfless about it and not thinking egotistically, what can it do for me? What can I get out of this as far as exposure? You start to feel the personal rewards. And that's what I felt. I felt personal rewards from continuing to serve with Mutt Sauce. It became really apparent around 2015. So I got out of the military, joined the reserves. So I do about 4 weeks a year now. But Mutt Sauce has changed lives, and that is the reward that I get. That's the intangible reward, is building memories and bonding with people.
Well, I love sayings, and I never heard it before, and I'm not sure if you created it or not, but it is a great saying, and I see a lot of people in the feed saying, rock bottom is your trampoline, and that is an amazing saying, because everybody right now, a lot of people are looking for the bounce. They are looking for that bounce right now, because obviously we know all the craziness is going on in the world. So I want to get into that bounce really quick, but one thing I got to share with you though, to get somebody to try a different sauce, whether it's hot sauce, whether it's syrup, and whatever the case is, and break the habit of what they already love, whether it's Tabasco or this sauce or that sauce. I mean, it's a hard habit to break. It's almost, because, people like to go what they used to. They don't necessarily like a lot of new things. So you're breaking a habit of telling somebody to not reach for that same thing they've always reached for, to reach for something else. And in the store, it's always in the bottle. It's very hard, because I'll give you an example. I'm always pitched, in the streets or various places, and I can't tell you how many times. And now, thank God, I'm never going to say thank God for COVID. Now times have changed, yes. And I'm going to tell you something. People used to pitch me especially little older women, they used to pitch me sauces all the time at conferences or something. Yeah. And because they may not have known that I was going to come by, they didn't have a spoon or anything, and they would be like this with the sauce. I remember one lady, she had this white sauce, I forgot what it was, and she went, "Oh, you got to try this. You got to try this." So it's hard. I was like, nah, man, I can't do that. But I say all that to say, you can't force feed it to people, especially when they're walking through the store, and you're at a point right now where you can't do tastings in every damn store you're at. How do you get people to break that habit, to move from one sauce to another or anything? Because a lot of people here, they're selling, whether it's lotions or sauces or whatever the case is, or soaps, and they want people to break that habit.
Well, the mistake that I made in the beginning is I was selling sauce, and people it's not the product. Like you said, there's so many different sauces, but there's only one story of Mutt Sauce. There's only one Mutt Sauce family. And that is a very unique experience that you can only get when you come this way. So that is how I changed my whole mindset and rhetoric. Was we're not selling sauce. We're selling family togetherness. We're selling great memories. When you come to us, you're having a wonderful experience at Thanksgiving and Christmas. And we're selling support for veterans and other charities. So it is not about the product. It really is not about the product.
Who just exemplified that? Somebody just said here, the experience and the transformation. I am not coaching you on telling you this stuff, and you are hitting it right out of the park, because I didn't sell people 3 sleeves on a shirt. I sold them an experience. And I think a lot of people need to understand that people love a good story. People
Yeah.
love to hear that you were so passionate about it. It came, he gave that sauce to you. That sauce was generational, right? Who you are. They love a good, that's why Bombas works. Bombas are
I love it.
socks. Yeah, but again, they're still socks. But people love, especially this Thanksgiving, they're going to sit around the table and go, what kind of socks are those? Oh, man, you still wearing those, man? You ain't helping nobody. Get the hell out of here. Check these out. And that's what people are going to do. Or
Yeah.
the story that Bombas does, they do the Sesame Street ones, right? So think about the Sesame Street ones. And I never thought about this. And a lot of us have an emotional attachment to Sesame Street as being older. Our kids love Sesame Street.
Oh yeah.
But I was running around. I could never do, my wife and my daughter could do Mommy and Me, but I could never do Daddy and Daughter Day. But when she goes, Daddy, put on your Big Birds, put on your, your Cookie Monster socks. I can wear the same thing my daughter does, and she wakes me up whenever she can. Go, what socks are you wearing today? And she got her little Big Birds, and I got my big Birds, and it's a story. It is bringing people together, and a lot of people who are watching now, they're seeing it with me with shirts, with Bombas with socks, with you with sauce. So I really like that, and I think that a lot of people here can learn from telling the story.
Yes, it's powerful and it's unique. Everyone has something different. So I just tell them, don't worry about the product itself. That's the icing on the cake. So if it tastes good, that's even better.
Right. The easiest thing to sell is the truth, but tell them the story first, and then product is king after that. Now, all right, so now let's talk about PowerShip. I highlighted you in my book for various different reasons because, again, number one, you did not give up after that. Then you had to pivot. What are you looking at, and how are you dealing with what's your PowerShift advice for people today? Because there are a lot of people right now who are that Charlinda who's about to leave the service, or they're in the service, but they're juggling this. But now they got 2 or 4 hours back a day from not having to go back and forth to work.
Yeah.
Maybe it's easy for them to also reach investors on Zoom when they used to have to fly all around the country. Like, what is the, are they going to balance things? Are they going to go all in? Just give me some insights on what you're seeing, because you're working with everyday entrepreneurs, close circles entrepreneurs. You're a motivational speaker. Just tell me some things that you can share with us.
Well, I will start with what happened in March. So I remember marking my calendar before COVID because I knew your book was releasing that first week of March. And I said, I'm going to support him in any way that I can. I'm heavily pregnant, though. The baby came that first week of March, March 7th. I am in
Pisces, baby. Sorry,
yes. I was in the hospital. I had not checked my phone, but my business model before COVID was actually 90% events and retail in the stores and 10% e-commerce. Even though I had a Shopify account, I barely used it. I had all the credentials for Amazon, but I didn't have the Amazon store open. So in March, I look in my phone and all I see is cancellations. Every single event that I booked from May to September was canceled. 90% of my revenue just went out the window. Congratulations on your baby. So wow. You have no money. So right. I didn't know what to do at that point. And that was my power shift moment. I said, I have a child. My why is now staring me in the face. I have got to do whatever I can to not only protect this baby, I have to keep this company going by all means. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it, but I'm just going to grind my way out of this. I determined that Mutt Sauce is a startup. So whatever I had to do in the beginning of studying and learning, I started watching your Power Talks. That was really great.
Thank you.
I retook Daymond on Demand. When TikTok came out, there's actually really great information that people share in 15 second to 60-second clips about content creation, about sales and package,ing. And on TikTok. On TikTok. And
so what are a couple of names? Of course, Gary Vee does a great job there. Who else shares some good tips that you may think of?
I watched the foodies one. There's the packaging guy.
Mm-hmm.
The packaging guy is there. And then I would just look at hashtags. So I would search by the hashtags of content creator, Canva tips, Shopify tips. And if you search by that hashtag, excuse me, it will show you the videos. And I would take a notebook. So I have this notebook and I write down the lesson that they tried to teach you. And then I go back and I institute those things on my own for my business. So that's how I just accelerated my learning. It's you have to be a constant learner. Do not get complacent when it comes to education. There's so many online webinars you can take now, conferences that are now online. So I became a learner. I cleaned up my business. So go back and look at your finances. Talk about have that chat with yourself about your weaknesses. Financial literacy, I found, was still a weakness of mine. Even if I had been on Shark Tank, I needed to go back and relook at my business to see where money was just like leaving out the door, and how to put that money back in the account in a place that it would pay more dividends. So that is a lot of the things that I instituted. My dad, because of COVID, he was working in a factory, and the owner said that he did not believe that COVID was real. I have a newborn in the house, and he quit his job. He walked off that day. He said, "One team, one fight" is what you always say. So I quit my job and I'm just going to stay home. I said, well, I'm going to turn this Shopify store on. I'm going to get some packages. We're going to clear out the entire garage, set up tables. I called my manufacturer. I took the money that I had saved. I took about $10,000 and had sauce made, delivered to my garage. I said, "Congratulations, Dad. Welcome to Mutt Sauce, one team, one fight." And so he did the deliveries, and now there's like this thing, like the community embraces him because they know when they're buying, they're also supporting the employment of my dad, who committed to keeping the family safe. So you just, those are things you can't.
That's the story.
Yeah, you can't go, "Woe is me." There's a way that you can pivot this thing, and that's what we did. So.
All right. So listen, thank you for everything that you have done and you currently still serving. I love our fearless women in our armed forces. I love that Christina, Christina, right? From my Christina, who has the dog snack company that I'm a partner in. She called me the other day. She said she went back to the reserve. I remember we were doing a Shark Tank update one time, and I would tell you the story while I was doing a Shark Tank update with her, and the producer said, "All right, are you nervous?" And she was like, "I fly B-2 bombers." She's a pilot. She's like, "No, I'm okay." So again, you'll see these great women who are just looking so classy and great, and they will be the ones who are dropping bombs on you if they have to, flying $1 billion equipment or hundreds of $1 million equipment. But I think that a lot of people have learned a lot from you today. Number one, it is the rock bottom is the trampoline. It is also be able to tell you that story. That's what people are buying into. They're buying into the story, right? They can buy anything from anybody else, any place, right? But they're buying into your story. I think that your father is another part of the story. Listen, let me dedicate myself to my daughter and my family and my community and my grandchild and make sure that I don't put them in danger. And that paid back, in great ways. Also, keep hacking yourself. Keep saying to yourself, I can't be perfect in everything. Maybe I do need more financial intelligence. Maybe I do need to be able to create content. And then also say, I think the TikTok thing is interesting because in 60 seconds, if their content that they're giving you to help you, whether create content or whether packaging is not strong enough, they're not going to have a good amount of followers. So that TikTok tip is really, really good. You can get in 60 seconds. And think about if you just watch 10 of those videos, a day, that's only 10 minutes, but who knows? It'll either tell you what you already know or give you something new to add to your skill set. So I really appreciate you, Charlotte. Where can people find, of course, your hashtag? I mean, I put your name in there, but where can they find Mutt Sauce at right now?
So if you go to muttsauce.com, that's our website, and you go to @muttsauce on any of the social networks. 2 T's, 2 S's.
Okay. Make sure you put it in the comment. and I appreciate you. And you know, take care of that little beautiful baby boy, and
Thank
take
you
care
so
of your
much.
business.
Amika,
And
I said, hey.
I will tell her. She is, you know, she's driving us all crazy. You know, well, you know, your baby's too young right now, but you know, as most parents right now dealing with a baby anywhere from 4 to 10 years old, you just got to buy them a present every day because the poor kids are home by themselves. They got nobody to talk to. You just got to come home and be like, oh, it's gonna spoil them. It's gonna make them really, 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 really nasty adults. You know what I mean?
It's
But
a weird time to be a parent. You know, it's just, you know, you have to pull out every trick in the book just to keep them entertained.
listen, I feel bad for whoever her boyfriend or husband's gonna be because you know these kids. She's gonna be like this every day. Yo, where's my present? And then the dude, if he's growing up at this time, too, he can be like, yo, where's my present? You know,
I would not want to be you know, anywhere in the vicinity. It's like that Will Smith and the movie, I forget, was it Bad Boys, where the guy knocks on the door? I just imagine you, Damon.
Yeah.
The door for the day. I'm like, that poor guy.
Yeah, it's all good though. But yeah, you're right. That's how it goes. But all right. So listen, all the best to you. You know, and you know how to get a hold of me if you ever need me. Thank you again. And all right.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
If you want another awesome video in our Black Excellence series, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.